And we're going.
Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone, Conversations with the Ancients. Today we have a special guest, Terri Suzuki from Kigaru Spiritual Journeys.
Right.
We're so excited to have you with us today. Thank you. And don't forget my friend Heather, she's here too.
Mhm.
Okay, we've got G. Covington. Happy Sunday. Happy
Happy
Sunday to you. We were just discussing what we were going to talk about today, and boy, do we have a bunch of different rabbit holes to go down.
Yes.
But that's okay. It's always fun. How's the weather where you are, Terry?
It is actually a nice sunny day. Um, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and it's been a very cold summer. It's not everybody else has been hot, and we've been wondering when is summer going to get
Oh, wow.
here.
Yeah,
So it's a nice day, not too hot, not too cold.
ours
Can't
too.
grow a tomato to save my life here, but
We've been
Yeah.
so hot and humid, and today it's beautiful. And we were out in the pool doing our little pool exercises
oh, nice.
earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really nice.
It was
It's a
nice.
beautiful day.
Hmm.
Where's
Gorgeous.
everybody at?
There
Where are
they're
they
coming.
from? Hi, Janet P. T. Barb. Yay!
Yay,
Welcome,
T-Bar.
everybody. Welcome from YouTube. Welcome, Facebook fans. Anybody from anywhere?
Exactly.
And you've got a friend.
Yeah, she just popped up. She's like, I want to be here. So this is
Well, he
Mia.
will be here.
What's her name?
Mia.
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 Hi, Miss Mia.
She,
So, what do you want to talk about first? Channeling.
Probably can,
channeling.
because that's everything does come back to it.
Yeah, we were just
Right.
in a interesting conversation before the show started about what exactly channeling is. And
And
it's everything we do.
you can't close it in a box. It's everything.
Yes, you
Mhm.
really can't put it in a box.
No.
I mean, there's trance channeling where somebody, an entity uses your vibration, and I literally feel them sit down inside of my aura.
And,
Aura.
and then she leaves and they take over.
But that's trance channeling. And that's a whole different ball of wax. Like when you're
Mhm.
thinking about cards, where's that information coming from when you're doing tarot cards or when you're using your pendulum? It's coming from your higher self. And how are you getting in that information? You're channeling it.
And
Mhm.
when you're being a medium or a psychic, it's channeled. It's just channeled the way that you get it. So, like the five
Clairs.
processes,
The clairs.
the clairs, they're all they're all channeling. It's just how you receive the message.
Mhm. And
So,
yeah, one of the reasons I brought this up is not be is because I'm kind of a newbie. I've only been doing this about a year, and sometimes I see people channel. Sometimes I think I've channeled, I mean, but I didn't know if there's different levels or anything. So I thought it would
I
be
think
really
we're all
great to talk
finding
to
there is.
you.
I think we're all finding out there's a lot of different levels to
Hmm.
all of it, channeling in particular.
and it changes.
Hmm.
When we're totally clairvoyant, it may become something different as you
Hmm.
go along, or it may be more knowing instead.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, it can change. You just have to change with it.
Right.
But it's just, or you may have several going on at the same time. You know this, you see it, you know,
Hmm.
and that allows you to delve.
Yeah. Well, of course, I didn't really know that all we're doing is channeling as I was doing stuff. But one night on Ron Unconditional Love's channel, we were answering somebody's question, and it was just like their dad or somebody, uh, and I tuned in and it was my turn to talk, and I channeled. I mean, like that entity took control of my tongue.
Yes.
And in fact, I don't even remember what I said. So
That's
That's
a chance. That's
that's
normal.
voice, yeah,
that's
my voice didn't change. It's still my voice, but those words weren't my words. I didn't put those words. And then the funny thing is, what after I got done channeling, uh, Kathleen J. Lightworker was there with me. She started channeling.
wow.
And I could recognize it in her. I'm like, wow, and in fact, the whole audience, the chat, they all stopped and like, whoa, what's going on here? Are they channeling?
Oh,
No,
that's really
you
cool.
see these books? I
Yeah.
sit and I write down what she says when she's in a trance channel. She's not going to remember any of it.
Wow.
Part of them.
That's only part of them. That's only 3 of them. I have a lot more.
Oh, that's
I remember
amazing.
nothing when I trance channel. Now, if I'm channeling information where they're feeding it to me telepathically,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just repeating what they're saying, basically.
And you know what's going on because
And
she's saying
that's
it.
got to be channeled. That's channeling because those aren't my words. Like that's what you were doing. I
It's
would
like-
imagine that night.
And it's like card reading. No, because she didn't remember what she said. I say there was time in there when you were doing trance
She
channeling.
was trance channeling. You're right.
Yeah.
But I think she does a lot of the other type of channeling when she's.
Yeah, they're
when
giving
you're
you
on stage and you're visualizing stuff, that's one thing. That's one way that you're channeling information. And these are all our opinions. We don't know if it's the truth. We don't know who made the rules or if there are rules, and I don't really care because this is just how it works.
Yeah, but you have more knowledge than I do, because at first, when I first thought, was that channeling? Did I channel? I asked a few people and they said, oh, no, Terri, that's not channeling because you didn't have a relationship with that person. Channeling is when you have a relationship and you continue to channel that person. And I'm like, well, I don't even know her grandpa, so that's going to be hard to keep having a relationship with him.
No, I have no idea where that came from.
There are so many people that are listed in here who have stopped by and said their piece or whatever it was, and it's written down. But we didn't know them. We didn't have a personal relationship with King Richard or with Ra that we know of.
We've had all kinds. We've had Crazy Horse. We've had King Richard. I've had a mermaid from Inner Mars. I've had all kinds of beings.
Well, I talked to Mozart.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it what they
Some
are
of them can be
referring.
multiple times, but a lot of times it'd be just just a couple of times that they leave their message and move on.
Yeah, we had somebody named Theo that was here for a long time, and I figure he was a guardian angel helping you get the channeling down. And when it was down to where she was good at it and could handle it,
That's
just
interesting.
left.
Could be because I haven't.
Because I know that some of them are temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I had another thing happen that I kind of want your opinion on. As a psychic medium, I recognize that when a spirit is talking to me and I'm reading for the audience or whatever, pretty much the rule is if they tell me something, I got to say it, because if I don't give their messages, why would they bother to talk to me? So that's part of being a psychic medium, is you got to pass the message on. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have some control. I do. Sometimes they've shown me, because I'm very clairvoyant and clairsentient, and sometimes they show me something and it might be too sexual, or it might be a little violent or something. And I will let them know, I am not saying that. I'm not going to say that. You have to show me a different way. Show me.
I think that's using your discernment.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very positive thing because you don't know what level the reader or the sitter or whatever it is they're called,
Mhm.
you don't know how advanced or not they are, and
Right.
and you don't know what kind of trauma they've lived through in their life, especially if there's something violent in a message that would
Mhm.
indicate to me that they've had some trauma in their life, and they probably don't want you to be talking about it.
And it could be very uncomfortable for them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's using your discretion. And do they always show you a different way?
Yes, they always have. So I don't have any fears now on that particular thing that they're going to stop talking to me if I say, well, I can't deliver that message that way. Could you show me a new way? Could you show me the same message but a different way, you know?
Yes.
And then and they always have. But I was wondering about channeling a trance channel in the same way. I was with my favorite group of ladies one time on a Sunday morning. We all get together and do it demonstration style, where we're all just holding space for each other. And a very powerful being came, and I felt like it was almost like an old president or somebody been powerful, and but definitely earth energy, not like, you know, a raw or a different being. And they wanted to channel, they wanted to say something to me, and they were like, just open your mouth and just talk, just, I'll put the words in, you just talk. But they were kind of rude, and I felt super uncomfortable, and I didn't do it. And
Good.
I felt bad because I'm like, have I just completely scotched my one chance at channeling, you know, by
You need,
not cooperating?
you're a sovereign being, and you need to have that respected as the channel, the medium, whatever you want to call it. You need to have your space respected. And I have a little story kind of like that, where Ra came and plopped his little butt right down in my aura. And I'm like, who are you and what makes you think you can do this? I am Ra. You know, this
Now I'm
kind of
taking
thing.
over your body. And Matthias said, you want to make it bad.
And he says, I want to speak. And I just gathered the unconditional love in my heart like a big white ball. And I just went, whomp, and blew him out with love.
Wow, with love.
Right back and apologized and was much more polite after that. These beings that were, I guess, powerful in their incarnations, maybe they've had bunches of incarnations as powerful beings. I don't know. But
They
it's not,
forget.
they forget. They forget we're little human being physical bodies. We no, it is our body. This is our sovereignty. And so I made rules around that. And you should. This
I
is
like
your
that.
body. Do what you want. You allow in what you want. We always allow only those beings in with that vibrate
Unconditional love.
unconditional love and unity consciousness, and the highest vibration for me and all concerned. That's just a little quickie.
Mm-hmm.
And I send any energies present that are not here with unconditional love and the highest good of Heather, myself, and all concerned. Be gone now.
You're not allowed
with
to be
love,
here.
and you may not come back.
Wow. I
If
love
you stay away with
that you're
love,
using love.
yeah,
Use the love, because it's not that you don't love them. It's just they're like, you don't need to put up with disrespectfulness
Mm-hmm.
ever. And saying I
my
won't
bloody
say
body.
right, saying that you won't say it that way, show me some other way. You're not
Mm-hmm.
cutting them off. You're saying that's not appropriate for me here.
Mm-hmm.
Find
Yeah.
another way for me to say what you want me to say, please.
Right.
And they do.
And they do, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
It's like
really
reading
interesting.
cards. You just have to, you know what the cards mean sometimes. The deck that I used first, I didn't know what they meant. I just knew they were talking to me, so I used them.
I love that.
And I just need to wait for whatever it is they want to say and listen, because sometimes they get a little personal and going, "You sure you want me to say that on the
Well, like
TV?"
she said, it could
Yeah.
be sexual or a little violent. Or,
Yeah.
I'm not relaying that.
No, we're not doing it that way.
These are humans. they may not understand.
We need to use more tact than that.
Do you want to take a break for a quick second and see if we have any comments about it? I really
Yeah, let's
that's so
see.
far away. But hi, everybody, and thanks for commenting.
Hello.
T-Bart, MJ420. Sharon Sipe, of course, thank you for being here. Ruth, of course, thank you. G. Covington, oh yeah, so Psychic Jean, oh that's great. We
That's
have
great.
quite the group. So,
Yeah.
anybody have any experiences in the chat room they want, or any comments about what we've been talking about so far?
What they've experienced.
Yeah, in relation to what you guys do. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, because in your own way, I think everything that we do can be related back. Now, this is my own personal opinion, but I think everything we do can be related back to channeling because we're looking for a message somehow. If you're a card reader, you're getting the messages as to what things mean. You may sit there and think for a minute while the idea comes to you, but that's channeling to me.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. That makes
Yeah.
it makes sense that it's all we're all channeling our highest self, or we're channeling someone else's higher self, or source energy, or
Yeah.
And if you're
whoever.
reading a crystal ball,
Right.
you're seeing in there is what they're putting in your head. That's a channel.
Right.
Yeah,
I get annoyed when I hear people online say, "Oh, I'm just a card reader," or "She's just a card reader," or "They're just a psychic," or as if somehow being a psychic medium is like the pinnacle of something. We are all reading the same energy. This is all the same. I don't feel any different from anybody else that's reading this energy. And I hope people remember that, because that's also how we grow and
And
learn
you're
new
making
things.
that muscle that hears them stronger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's easier for you simply because you've been doing the exercise.
People that talk like that, it's just ignorance. It's ignorance and lack of compassion and understanding. And you just send them love and hope that they wake up someday.
A lot of it.
Because let
is
me tell you,
understanding.
the people that are channeling, for the most part, for them to be able to do that, read cards accurately, any of these things, you're using gifts that
Right.
most people don't even know they have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I can't find anything wrong with it.
Right. Oh, good. Good.
Something that's not good.
Yeah.
I have yet to see anybody in this community using their
Right.
information for not good.
And don't you think things are changing a lot?
Yes.
I mean, I think one of the reasons that I didn't understand about channeling was also because all the thing that I saw a long time ago was the trance channeling, that was the end all be all of channeling, and so I didn't think about the fact there could be other different kinds.
I know.
And
We don't realize how many
When-
different kinds of different ways to do anything.
And really,
Right.
when you do the same entity all the time, that's an exclusive channeling.
right,
Channeling anybody else, you're just channeling that particular
Right.
exclusive one.
Well, you
Yeah.
don't know if they're channeling somebody else too.
Right,
They could be,
They could
but
be.
they have a particular connection, and that was their sole contract to
Mhm.
speak
Yeah,
from.
that's true.
Mhm. I love that when it happens. Don't get me wrong. I love it when somebody gets kind of an exclusive,
like Bashir.
yeah,
Um,
channel, or like I think it's Bunny Goodyear. She does
not familiar
a
with
group and I think White Feather. I don't remember, but it's
so many out there now.
There have been several that we've watched that we
Yeah.
really like what they're saying.
Mhm.
So
And you know, I also realize after talking to you, because of course before these shows we talk a little bit. I don't just spring it on them. I want to talk about channeling.
No,
um,
we have good pre-shows too. Usually
Yeah.
fun.
I think one of the reasons I also didn't think that the day-to-day things that I'm doing is channeling, the reason I didn't think of it is because of which clairs I tend to use. So I'm strongest in clairvoyant and clairsentient, and then I have secondary gifts, and I'm probably going to say this wrong.
Oh, I
You
never was.
completely correct me if you want.
No.
I think it's called clairagustance and clairalience.
Claire
Yeah.
Gustance.
Yeah, where I can taste. That's very rare even for me. But the smell, I can smell. I know if my dad's around because I'm smelling pancakes,
I smell cigarettes.
Yeah.
and I
So
know if
it's just
my great grandfather's around, I'm smelling pipe tobacco, and
Yeah.
my great grandmother's lilacs, and but
and they knew that you associated those scents with them, and so they know
That's
that
why they use
if
them.
they use them,
Right.
you'll know who it is.
Yeah. And then my mom had a completely new scent that I would not have ever associated with her.
Huh.
But I knew it was her. And and even in readings, people I don't know, sometimes they send me scents
Mhm.
as the evidence.
Right.
But anyway, back to why I was saying this is so when I'm reading for somebody, so like today in my the ladies group I do every Sunday, I actually got Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon first put a really beautiful knotted, you know, uh, Turkish rug on my stage, and I was looking at like, whoa, that's a beautiful rug. Who's going to get to be on this rug, And then a lamp came down, and then her big chair came down, and then there was Dolores Cannon, and I'm like, whoa.
Awesome.
That's cool.
And one of the reasons I didn't realize it's channeling is because it's like I'm there with her. I'm I'm there talking to her face to face. I'm, if so I'm just relaying. I'm not hearing her. I I I was trying to think back. Did I see her lips move? I don't know that I did. So I guess we're talking brain to brain here, and I'm just relaying what she's giving me in knowing, but it's like I'm there looking at her. It's not like she's coming into me and sitting, and so I didn't
Just
realize.
That's just one type of channeling that
And
when they come sit in you
some
like that.
psychic Jane
I,
said there's a fine line between receiving messages and channeling.
I agree.
In some cases, don't keep moving. The terms can be interchangeable.
I agree.
Right. So it's very difficult to say.
I
how
can't.
it's
I
one
don't
or not.
see things, so I don't get to go have a stage and see all that wonderful stuff. I mean, and it makes me jealous. I want to be able to see. I'm always asking to see, but nevertheless, I know, and
right,
so it's. I know I'm channeling because there's no way I would know the information.
right.
Mhm.
So it was interesting with Dolores in that when she was just talking and I was relaying the message, it was like we were seeing each other.
That's
But
beautiful.
then I asked the ladies, is there any questions you want to ask? We got her here. Do you want to ask any questions? But so when she answered questions though, then it was less like I was seeing her and more like she wasn't talking through me, but it was definitely more the clairsentience,
Right.
the knowing.
Yeah.
And so it felt a little bit more like channeling then, but
Right.
not so much when I was just talking with her.
Maybe that's that part of that fine line that Jean was talking about. Is at one point you're not, and one point you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You know what it is you're doing.
And it's great that the human brain and our hearing and everything else that we're doing has enough flexibility to let us just move from one to the other.
Yeah.
mhm.
you're really moving around there. Talking to her and then passing messages a different way. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Uh, she was interesting in that we could ask her a little bit of questions. So one thing that
Really
I
cool.
think I had asked was, you hypnotized and went back in so many past lives and so many things with people. How was it when you transformed? How was it? And she's like, it was a blank. I just slipped from one place to the other place. She just slipped. It was just easy.
That's lovely.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Lady,
But
very special woman.
yeah, and this is kind of a tiny bit, which made me think I wasn't channeling too, because I can remember what she said. So, but she said that we just we don't know everything that's under heaven and earth. She's like, all the wonderful weird things she saw in her life, that's even nothing. There's way more to learn. So that was cool.
I believe that for sure.
Yeah.
And I can see what Sun Psychic G was saying, because there are some entities or some people on the other side, they don't have the strength and the skills to be able to channel, but they do talk to you. So that is different. And I can see where she says there's a real fine line between them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When my husband died and started talking to me, I would channel him. But it took us a while for it to work. It was like he didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know how to do it at the very beginning. Remember how awkward it was at the
Yeah, the
beginning?
blind leading the blind.
It was like the blind, yeah, the blind leading the blind. But over time, he improved and I improved. So it's not like it's immediate that they know everything as soon as they get there either.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they do know a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that he ever experienced trying to communicate with somebody on the other side before. It seemed like it was new for him too.
Mm-hmm. So when you started channeling David, was Heather writing it down then, or were you? How? Oh,
No, it happened during the shutdown when we were all stuck at home, and Heather and I moved down here together. We've lived together here for about 6.5 years. After David died, we moved in together here, and I wouldn't remember what I said. She'd go, "You were doing," blah, 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 blah," and I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And so we quickly realized, oh, that stuff has to be written down.
wow! I
And
will tell.
we'll have some that are taped when we were doing Zoom meetings with my family and our family, and over COVID, over shutdown, we would get together once a week, and I would channel whoever came through that night. So we had some of that stuff on video that someday I'll have to go back and rewatch and put together. I just don't know how to do that sort of thing.
Wow, that's amazing. But when you said that, it brought back a memory that of the very first time that something like this happened. I'm not sure if it was actually channeling or anything, but I was talking with my brother on the phone, and we were just chatting. And my brother is a little bit disabled, so he does live a lot online, and he often uses Google Earth to look around rather than actually traveling. And we were just talking, and I thought, okay, we've talked, we're done. The next day he calls me back and he says, "You were right, Terri." And like, right about what? And he said, "Well, you told me that Dad used to cut hair. My father was a hairdresser, and he also grew up on the Yakima Indian Reservation."
Oh wow!
And he said, "You told me Dad cut hair in the tavern." And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I didn't say anything like that. What do you mean?" He said, "Yes, you did. You said he cut hair in the tavern in a little room to the right of the front door." And I'm like, I never said anything like that. That is, I don't remember this conversation at all.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you did say it. And he said, I went on Google Earth and I could see the where that room is, and I can see that room and the door to it. And I'm like,
Cool.
well, okay, let's say that this is correct. Let's say I did say that. How can we find out if it's true? And so I said, well, our aunt is still alive. She's really old, but let's call her and ask her if Dad ever cut hair in the tavern. And she's a little more hoity-toity, and she said, oh, no, your father would never do such a low-class thing like that. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But I thought, okay, that's her. And so I thought, well, wait, my cousin lives nearby there. She lives about a mile away, and she was a little girl. She probably got her hair cut a lot. Let's call her. So we called my cousin and said, hey, did Dad ever cut your hair in the tavern? you know? And he goes, oh yes, sometimes on the weekend he would come to the tavern, and when you entered the tavern, there was a little door to the right that wasn't technically tavern, so he could go in that little room and cut your hair there. And I'm like, oh, okay, wow.
Cool.
So it was true. Whatever I said was true, but I cannot recall having that conversation with him at all. Not at all.
And here, all this time, I thought it was dementia.
I did worry about that too.
It's true, though. You think you're going nuts when people say, well, you said blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I don't remember.
Okay. So I don't know. That doesn't feel like I was channeling a spirit per se.
No.
Something was happening.
Information, though.
Yeah, I don't know. That was really interesting, and then it proved to be completely true. And then later, a crime happened there, and it burnt down. And now you can look in there and see that little room, and it's like,
Oh, that's cool.
wow.
That's your dad's here.
Yeah.
That's
That was interesting. That because I truly still have no recollection of this. It sounded right. That's when my brother told me. It's like, I don't remember saying that, but that sounds like something I'd say.
And you did.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's not unusual at all not to remember it when it's just popped in there from somewhere else.
That did worry me though. What if I go around in life doing that all the time? I'm in the grocery store and suddenly say something to somebody and I don't even know that I've done it. That worries me just a little bit.
You were already on the phone with your brother. So
yeah.
If you're, excuse me, ma'am, but
That was David.
my husband would do that. But he would know he was doing it. He would tap on anybody's shoulder. If he got a message, it didn't matter. He was going to tell him. I didn't know where we were. But he knew he was doing it. I'd just go sit in the car till he was done.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. Tell us, what do you think you're going to do with your channeling?
What am I going to do with my channeling?
Yeah.
This is a time right now I verify what information we're putting out. I use my channeling to make sure the information, they agree with it.
That's what they wanted to know.
Because they're the ones that want me to do what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly didn't want to.
Oh, so like you're using it like a double check system.
Always have.
Mm-hmm.
I was in business, ran my family's business, and when I would go to board meetings or meetings in general, especially people I didn't know, I would always take David with me because as soon as he shook their hand, he knew everything about them. And after the meeting, we would, I'd go out and go, okay, what's the scoop?
Wow, interesting. So interesting.
I don't get information like he did. The information I get is totally different. I'm really not much of a medium. I don't talk to dead people very often.
Well, you talk to David
and my family members, but the strangers don't. Strangers don't come knocking on my door with messages for other people. And I'm actually quite thankful for that,
Oh,
considering how it drove David crazy. And I'm sure many of you that are constantly getting messages. I don't work like that. My work is from the higher realms, is
mhm,
my understanding from you psychics that have read me and like Akashic Bob. My
mhm,
job is to spread information,
mhm,
to seed information. That,
mhm,
that's my job. And I think by bringing people on, I think you're seeding information. I think all of the psychics are seeding information that needs to be known to humanity right now, because I think it's a super important time in our um, ascension. Sorry,
mhm, mhm.
it,
Yeah.
ascending.
Ter-
No, I can I wonder sometimes. We all think that this is going on. Is it really true, or is it just a bunch of us hippie psychic people being crazy? And of course, it is happening. It's all
Mhm,
evidence is all around us that we're ascending, that we're moving past the old 3D paradigms and moving forward.
Yeah.
mhm,
We're spreading love and light everywhere we go.
mhm.
Well,
Increasing vibrations.
Raising
Yeah.
vibration.
yeah. When did you first know that this is what you wanted to do?
Um,
About a year ago.
about a year, yeah. After my first class, I'm like, I really want to do the. Actually, I remember I was doing Zoom uh, virtual summer horse camp, and it was how the spirit was getting me ready for this, and I just realized there was a longing there, some sort of longing. I didn't know exactly what the longing was for, but it was like I really want something. I'm not quite sure what it is that I want, but
I
there's
felt that
some,
way too.
yeah. And then as I took classes, and long about my second class, I'm like, I think Allie, because she was always doing stuff with Susan Lynn and Medium Kim, and Allie contacted our whole class and said, "Does anyone want to come on and demonstrate their skills or something along that line?" And I like
Do I dare?
my guides were like, "If you really want to do this, then jump off the deep end here, do it." It's like
Mm-hmm.
they always it's kind of like for me that I have to put, if I want to do it, whatever it is, I have to put action to it. So I have to just, you know,
We don't get anywhere without action.
suspend the fear and just go on. And so I, I just jumped in all the way and went on with Allie and Susan Lynn the very first time and read live. Now I realize how crazy that was.
That's not crazy. That's just
Brave.
bravery. And
Not crazy, but how in the world did I think I could do that?
and you did. You
I
did.
did it, but it's just like, oh my God, it's so, you know, I hadn't even read anybody for like, I mean, the longest time I had ever read anybody was 15 minutes in class, you
Wow.
know, and so, and I hadn't done like hour readings of people. So I did that first, and then later on started doing like months later, did like hour readings. And I was like, the first time I did a personal reading for someone for an hour, I was like, whoa, what luxury. This is, oh my God, this is luxurious.
Having all that time to read. Yeah.
It like this.
But look how fast you guys honed your skills doing that. Because reading on live like this, you're just boom, 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 boom. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know how they jump from one to another to da da da.
You,
I
you know,
have admiration for all of you that can do that.
oh, well, thank you. I'm, the thing is a lot about trust,
Yes.
that they're going to show me something and I just got to grab it and go with it. Jean the same way, Terry Lee, Joan, all of us have to just grab it and say it, go with it. In fact, some of the better readings happen when we do speed rounds where you have no time, just like boom, boom, boom. You just got to, whatever you see or hear or feel, you just go with. And sometimes that's the best way.
Yeah, for those of us that are too much in our heads and want to think about everything.
Right.
Not that. You're just instant. Yeah,
right. It can get a little messed up if they give me time to think about it. Like,
yeah,
what does green mean, and go into a whole synopsis of green, and
that sounds like my brain.
I love, like, especially how Jean and Terry Lee and Joan read, because they're like, they just grab onto something and then start from there, just jump off and go for it.
Well, you do that as well.
Yeah, I love watching them do it. It's amazing to watch.
They are, but all of you watching any of you all together, it's amazing to watch because you play off each other so well. It's almost like you're reading the same stuff. Sometimes.
I think we are.
Where
we just, like, Terry Lee is super clairaudient. She actually hears stuff. And if I have to be jealous, I'm always a little jealous of her.
See, I'm clairaudient and I'm jealous of you.
Yeah. So it's so funny because the few times that I am clairaudient, it's always like, whoa, wow, did I really hear that? And then not one time, a couple times they were trying to get my attention in the daytime. And I got this little bowl. I bought this because it was the sound I heard, because I wanted to replicate it. So I was walking through my dining room. I wasn't thinking of anything. I was just walking through, probably just getting done with the laundry list of the laundry I had to do. And I heard out loud, not inside. I heard, and I'm like, what was that?
What does that even mean?
And then I walked back and forth in the dining room a couple times trying to, like, was that the crystal in the cabinet, like, accidentally dinging against each other? And then I walked through again and heard, and I'm like,
heard it again?
And I'm like, I was really scared, actually, because I heard it, not just inside. I'm like, by the way, I only talk to the spirits of the highest vibration. If you're out here dinging me, you better have a very high spirit vibration, or I'm not talking to you. You got to. I'm completely scared, and I'm like, okay, that stopped. And then about a week later, I was upstairs. I had just gotten done with a show and walking to my bedroom and heard, and I'm like,
okay, Terry, what does it mean?
Okay, I'm just going to stop. And I just actually stopped in the hallway and just kind of laid down and like, what do you want to talk to me about? Why are you dinging me?
And
they didn't say anything. But the next week we were in class with Jean and we had 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And I said, Jean, could you tell me who's dinging me and why? And she read me. She's like, they are dinging you because on those times when you're not thinking about anything, and I didn't tell her about that I had been walking through the dining room not thinking. In those times when you're not thinking, you don't have anything else to do, you're just la 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 la. They want you to sit down and write, do
automatic writing.
They want to give you some messages. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. You can quit dinging me. I'll do that.
Why can't you just say so?
So she quit she quit dinging me. They quit dinging me, and I don't have so many times that I'm not thinking, but I do that from time to time, write things, and
Oh, that's good.
sometimes they'll get me to do it before a show,
Uh-huh.
and maybe it's a message for everybody. So,
Cool.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I was reading when somebody in the chat room. I was looking for questions, but that's pretty neat. It's nice to have friends you can go to and go, "What did that mean?"
Exactly.
Yes, I like that. I like that too.
I do that all the time with her.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Yeah.
That's nice because you can ask her anytime. Jean and I have a time difference, so
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and people work and have lives, and yeah, it's
Mhm.
much easier when you live with your bestie. Sure.
Yeah. I just want to say something to Sharon Sipe. Sharon Sipe,
Sure.
thank you for wishing happy birthday to everybody this month because I'm a Leo. I just had my birthday, and thank you. I saw you doing that in another show, and that was very kind of you.
It is kind. I've
That
seen
is
her do
nice.
that several times over the last few months. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it
She's a
is kind of
cool
cool.
lady and a heck of a moderator.
Mhm.
She is
Mhm.
busy, busy. And we all thank you and appreciate you, Miss Sharon Sipe, and all you other moderators as well. Thanks, everybody. And Miss Ruth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. So I wanted to go through and tell you what I do when I channel. Now I
Okay.
can be standing at the kitchen sink and get messages. I I don't have to be meditating or whatever. But when I really want specific information, we created a sacred space in our house for meditation and communicating with the other side because like she said we were getting so many different people entities coming through from so many different places. I just wanted to make sure everything was at the highest vibration so that you don't get psychically attacked because you can be psychically attacked, as you know, from lower vibrations. And truthfully, when I set intentions before I do anything. We usually sage
Mhm.
the entire house. We sage the entire house at least once a month, and whenever else somebody just gets a wild hair, you know what I mean. But when I'm sitting down intentionally to talk, particularly with the interdimensionals, I will put a light of protection around me. I protect my home. We have protection around our house that Heather and I
Yeah.
constantly feed energy of protection. People say, there's a lot of debate whether you need protection or not. I feel like I do. Those of us that are high vibe white lights, we attract. So if you guys are anybody out there is having psychic attacks where strange thoughts come to your head and a voice telling you negative stuff, that's just an attack. That's a low vibration. It's not you, it's not your brain. Just tell them to go away with love and put that white light around you because that white light protects you from the environment. It can protect you from other energies. It can protect you from people throwing spells at you if you believe in that sort of thing. All that sort of stuff is protection against you. And meditate and focus on the unconditional love aspect of it. If you come from your heart and ask for help from your heart and ask whoever you want to show up in the room with unconditional love, you're going to be safe. You're going to be safe, and there's not going to be not like when you're astral traveling and you might run into a dark energy or anything like that. If you're in your own space and you've created a safe space in your home, whether it's just a chair you sit in, a comfortable chair or whatever, I, I put on certain types of music. I like candles. I do. I've actually kind of gotten into the ritual of it because I was never a ritual person. I thought they were a waste of time.
And yet I've watched what you guys do, and you are setting up protections automatically.
Yes, you do. I'm speaking more to people that are not um, experienced, like Terri and some of the ladies that we watch.
Sounds like.
For somebody that's new to it, just protect yourself. Then you'll avoid lower entities because they can be scary. I had one come at me with my husband's face, but on the arm of Beetlejuice. it was all distorted and like that black and white stripe in Beetlejuice where you kind of at somebody's face like that, but it was my husband's face. And it
Mhm.
said, I'm your husband, David, and I'm going to take your soul. I just, are you crazy? I mean, that was one of the first ones, and it was actually quite frightening, but it was amazing how fast my brain reacted like, there is no way in hell that's David. My
Right.
husband would never talk to me like that. He would never try to scare me like that. And I've noticed over the years, it's always fear based when they attack.
Yes.
It's always,
Yeah.
and that's how you can tell it's not a good entity.
Hmm.
It may start out off nice, but pretty quickly it turns into some type of fear based energy and
Hmm.
pull them out with that white light of love.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That works. So
I
that's really actually how I do it.
Yeah. When I first started, I always put myself and my client in a bubble of divine white light, um, and then I've kind of moved away from that a little bit because I now and yet not. I'll show you why not. Because now I really um, just live in that little piece of God in me. I just really realize that that's protecting me a lot.
Mhm.
But I often still do it when I pray, first when we kind of pray in, because I think it makes my client more comfortable too.
Right.
Um, but that being said, when I'm meditating to do whatever, I'm I pull down a beam of divine light that connects me from the heaven to the center of the earth that expands. I can't move out of it in any way, no matter how I'm sitting or laying. It's
Really
big enough to
beautiful. Yeah, that's
accommodate.
kind of how I do. I connect to source and I can
Mhm.
connect to Mother Earth.
Yeah,
It's just boom. And it's like, almost like a click, click when I'm,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
next.
And I recently learned about the Hara chord, which is a cord that connects us to the earth and then back up to the heaven. And I have used that a few times because the Hara chord can vibrate and
Huh.
it can increase connection towards who I am.
I'm not familiar. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I don't know a ton about it. I was when I was at the We Me fair, I met an energy healer who he can just through his hands put energy into your body, go in, heal things, and come out. And he told me he does it through the Hara chord connection. And the funny thing is, he was trying to explain that it kind of comes from my middle. And I'm like, I speak Japanese, so I'm like, yeah, I get that because you just said hara. Hara is a Japanese word and it means from the middle, from your
Right.
stomach, from
Right.
your core.
Right.
And I'm
That's
like,
interesting.
so there's somebody who's developed more about it, and the name has just going right off. I I want to say her first name is Barbara or something like that, and she has done a lot of research about the Hara chord.
Is
And
that the cord that connects us to the other side?
probably, I think so, because
When
it
it's attached to our body when we astral travel? Is that the
It
hard
could
cord?
it could be that, yeah. I think it is. But
I can do the show.
yeah, I've noticed that I've when the few times I've been aware of the hara and noticed it, it's when a healing is going to happen. So I
Oh,
don't want anyone to think they can call up Terri and have a sitting and have her heal them. That's I'm just a conduit, okay? If they want to, it's healings do happen in my readings sometimes, but it's because that the angels are directing it or doing something. But what I noticed is as I am
I'm a healer.
exploring this new part of me that's about healing, that the hara chord has something to do with it. And I know when it's going to happen because the hara cord starts vibrating. I feel like I'm in a field vibrate. I feel like I'm vibrating.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I'm new to this. It's all new to me right now. So
Well, it's all new to us too. I mean, some things are all new. I've never heard of the hara cord, but if that's the cord connection,
I'm going to find out more because this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I am going to go to that person's retreat center, and I'm going to learn more.
oh, fun! So you can teach us when you get out.
Hopefully, I'll learn something. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
that'll
So
be-
that, yeah, I have felt that vibration before, but that's aside from channeling. I remember my cousin died, and I went to Tucson, Arizona to her funeral thinking, because I was worried that my family might not go and they needed some family representation. Turned out they all went, but the second we touched down and landed, I started vibrating and my vision changed. I saw everything in pink champagne bubbles for a whole weekend,
wow.
of vibration.
What's that about?
Well, you know what? I think that this is just my theory, is that she was tired of her life, that she arranged to exit right then and there to introduce me to a cousin who I had a soul contract with. And I think the soul contract's done now. But I think that was the complete purpose of it.
Well, it probably was. But isn't that amazing how the universe managed to fit things together like that, just so you could
Yeah.
do that?
And
Yeah.
it was just so bubbly, so just like I was immersed in champagne the whole time, just vibrating and bubbling, and
How fun!
and my vision was changed. The color, everything was through this lens. It was just
Sorry, I'd be thinking I had a brain tumor.
well, and it's funny that I didn't, because I would have thought that too normally, but I remember just going with it. And now when I look back, I'm like, yeah, how come you weren't a little bit more worried that you suddenly were having Alzheimer's, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're all learning to go with the flow a little bit better. You know, especially the more that happens to us that's out of the ordinary, it makes it easier to just go with it next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Check it out later.
Yeah, I feel pretty fearless as far as spirituality goes.
Mhm.
We're not afraid of dying anymore, then what else is there?
Yeah. We are beings in a human body to have an experience. And then we'll go back to where we came from.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So dying is nothing. It's just a new experience.
Yeah.
We're going
That
back
doesn't-
to the old one.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean, even though I really I don't fear dying, it doesn't mean that probably, 2 minutes before I do it, that I might not get a tiny bit worried, because it's change, obviously.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know?
That last second. Oh, do I really want to do this? I don't have anywhere. I have no idea what it's going to look like or well, I do know who's going to be there. Some of them in my soul family that'll be there, but I have no idea what to expect.
Right.
I'm totally clueless. Because it's a thought-based universe. My understanding is that if you're super religious, you're going to find your heaven is super religious with the people that believe the same way that you do. So you can imagine there's gazillions of different heavens for gazillions of different thought patterns, and that just kind of blows my mind. So I'll just say, it's all good. I'm going to meet David and my dad and my mom and everything will be, my sister, everything will be all good, because I have no clue what to expect.
Yeah.
Nor am I ready to go either. I'm just not afraid of it.
when my cousin died, you know, we weren't super sad, but mainly because she's over on the other side, and my sister said it best. She said, she's like, damn it, she's with all the fun people. We're the ones left in the, they're having a party. She's with all the fun people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand that. I really don't get too sad when people die anymore. I just think, lucky you. You know?
I check, sure they're happy, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Come lay down.
I always felt a little bit bad. I mean, when my dad died, because my dad was just beloved by us and by many, many people. And
My first big loss was my father. It was horrible.
yeah, and I wanted to be, I mean, I did cry a little bit, but I wanted to be sadder. But I couldn't be so sad because I knew that he made a choice to stay, because he was actually kind of young, 56, when he died of a heart attack. And that he was so freaking happy. He had wanted to go home, that's home, and he wanted to be home. So for 40 days after he died, I could see him out, like in the corner of my eye, all over the place. He was in the kitchen with me and things. And so I'm like, in fact, he's more present now than he was then, because we lived 2 hours away from each other.
Now he's hanging over your shoulder.
Yeah, so it was interesting, and I would really wanted to be more heartbroken, but I just couldn't. And it was funny because my other brothers and sisters, they were two of them pretty much gave up living. It's like, I'm just not going to live anymore until I die so I can go be with Dad, and
That's a little strange. That's a little intense.
they're kind of woken up now, but it took them a long time. They were so heartbroken.
Well, I wasn't very awake. I wasn't awake yet when my father died, and it really did affect me. And I was sad for years, but he actually sent me some messages through David and told me to get over it. Basically, he was having a great time. Life is good, and you'll be here when it's your time, and don't worry about it. It's all good. So,
look what T-Barb chimed in on this. I couldn't grieve properly when my dad passed away because he stayed here with me.
yeah, that's grieving hard.
Yeah.
But when my brother died years before, it took me 2 years to get over. It was the beginning of understanding. Wow.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at what she said next.
What's that?
She said, I told my mom when she passes to poke me in the third eye.
Make sure it's open, Ma.
It's a fabulous idea, T-Barb.
This idea. I love that. Both of my parents are gone now. I actually lost David in 2015, David in the end of October, and my oldest sister the end of November, and my mother the 1st of January 16.
Oh, my
3 months.
God.
I was so busy grieving for David, it took me years to be able to grieve for my mom and my sister because it was just too much. It was too much, and yet it was total freedom too.
Wow.
Strangely,
Wow.
it was a whole new chapter because that's when everything started opening up.
Wow.
I had to be David's sidekick while his stuff was opening up. I've been supporting him and what he was going through because he was an engineer. He wasn't like me that was dead interested in anything to do with spirituality. He was like, no, I don't want it. Go away. So there was a lot of emotional upheaval there for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have anything until he died and went knock knock knock.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Heather, how did you get in touch with your skills?
I just always had them. I just thought everybody had them. So I didn't see it as being different ever.
Well, how did your family?
But I have a hard time recognizing them.
Ah.
It's so natural to her. She has no clue that.
I know
I
I've
can't
done
do
things.
that.
Oh, is that what that was? I didn't know.
So
But did your family support you in that?
Not at all.
So how did you stay inside it? Well, obviously you just lived in it. You were in your own little bubble.
I just didn't tell anybody. It was not to be mentioned ever.
But her mom knew in the end. When
Yeah,
her
my mom
got
knew in the
older,
end.
her mom understood where Heather was coming from, and
But I think it's because she understood through the dementia. She would never say anything. My understanding is that she was talking to my father every night before she died. But she
Wow.
didn't tell anybody, and not even me, because she said everybody will think I'm nuts. It doesn't matter, your dementia keeps everybody thinking you're nuts anyway. You know?
that's true.
I was going to say that, but I thought that's rude, Terry. Don't say that.
Yes,
Yes.
but she should have told me because
Yeah.
I would have understood. And actually, as far as that goes, my older brother would have understood
Yeah, you would.
because I had to make him understand that. And my dad was an organist, and he was actually better than my dad, or would have been, but he decided I'm not going into competition with my dad in the music world, so I'm not going to do this.
That must have been hard.
It was very, very hard. But anyway, he's been playing my dad's music on the piano and on the organ. And he would get to a difficult place and he would say, "Now let's try. Dad, how did you do this?" And then he'd come up and he'd say, "Oh, well, let's try this." And I pointed out to him one day, he says, "You don't really think you figured that out, did you? You asked him to tell you how you did it. He did. Now you're doing it."
Oh,
That's so cool. Well, I was trying to do I'm fascinated by watercolors, and I'm not an artist. Heather's an artist, and this room is absolutely chock-a-block full of her paintings. She's so talented. But I've always wanted to try watercolor. So during shutdown, I ordered watercolors and all that, and we set up a space outside where we could do it on the lanai. And I'm painting away, and I'm doing things out of the book, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was painting an ocean scene where a man was standing in the on a beach in shallow
Fishing.
water fishing, and I couldn't figure out how to make the human. And so I asked my dad. I said he did watercolors. I said, "Tell me how to do this." And damned if my arm didn't just move perfectly.
wow.
What it had to be like a one touch thing. If I couldn't do it right the first time, it would be a mess. And it just worked out perfectly. I was like, "Thank you, Dad," because I knew it was him. It wasn't me. I was totally clueless how to do it. So
That's amazing.
you ask and they help. I just love that. Any of our guides will help us if we just look for or ask and look for.
Ask
Be
and
aware. Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
That's the main thing is listening.
Yeah.
Listen or see or whatever it is that you do when you ask, you need to be doing whatever it takes for you to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that people know more than they think. Because when I think back to like my mom, she grew up Catholic. She had very strong things about what God did or didn't do, and yet when I was younger, she taught me how to play with time. How did my mother know how to play with time?
Wow.
I can change time and
Whoa. That's fascinating. How did she play with time?
well, she would say, well, so maybe I was going to be late or something. She said, well, Terry, you can just change time. Just ask God to change that for you, and I don't know. She just said I could. And so I did.
Because you believe it. I love
And
it.
then like for instance, I was driving in the winter one time and my car started to slide and I knew it was going to get out of control. And for some reason, I'm like, oh, would you just change time, just move this around. Let's get past this point. And in a blink, I suddenly was aware that I was past that point, that nothing happened and I'm ahead on the road.
That happened to me on the road one time too, a car wreck. It was like I was almost in the wreck and I'm thinking, holy shit, this is it. Help. And the next thing I knew, I was on the other side and perfectly safe.
Right.
I was merging into a lot of traffic and somebody was coming up crazy.
I remember when we went up to see a friend of ours who was in the hospital, and it was late coming out, and everybody was complaining in the car about, oh, we're not going to get home until such and such a time, instead of a time we had planned on. I said, then we'll be home by then.
We were.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. And I, at first I would do it when I was going to be late. I would ask for a gift of more time, and often then I would arrive on time. But also now I have matured and can actually leave ahead of time. Actually go my time a little rather than just having to ask God to, make up for my bad planning.
Yeah, my sister used to do that time thing too when we would be together. Oh, we're going to be late. Nope, we'll be there on time, and somehow we'll or without speeding or going crazy or anything. You're just there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
But it's kind of weird. How did my mom know that? How did my very Catholic mom know how to change time?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I still don't know because she's on the other side now. So.
Well, you'll have to ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to ask her someday.
Yeah, I don't know. She stuns me a lot from the other side, so I'm a little hesitant to ask her. It's way too long of a story, but she showed up in a reading one time, and I was already angry about the reading. Believe it, I know it seems like we have to be so holy to do these things, but we're just people.
Absolutely.
And somebody asked me about something they wanted to do, and it made me angry because it was a point of contention between me and my mom.
Ooh.
And I kind of had to ask my client, can you give me a second? Because I had to try to deal with my anger. Like, why is this pissing you off?
Right.
And okay, get it under control. And then when I opened my spiritual eyes again, there was my mother on the stage, the very person that was pissing me off. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, to my client, could I have a moment, please? And then had an argument with my mother, And
she's like, Jesus with your mother.
Well, T-Bob was saying that every show that she's watched so far today, they all had to deal with time, so it must be the thing.
Wow.
I think I read that correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of the channels I've watched today have brought up time. Must be a thing.
Yeah, I think it. Well, because now, back when my mom taught me how to play with time, now in our readings, to be honest, when you're channeling or anything, time doesn't matter at all now. Mm-hmm. Half the time when I'm out there in the spirit, I don't even know what time zone I'm in. If there's a zone even.
I don't even care. It never occurs to me because there's no time on the other side.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like when I meditate, I don't know how long until I stop, how long it's been. I have no opinion on anything.
Interesting. It's all about time today, huh? And that's channeling and time and all those things, and how not to get pissed off in a reading. And
what's really interesting triggers in a reading. I hadn't thought about that, but I bet that happens more often than not. I mean,
Yeah.
More than we know of.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah, it turned out my mom was there to answer the question. She's like, I'm the one supposed to answer this question. And I'm like, inside I'm thinking, well, that kind of makes sense since you're the one that pissed me off about this.
Did you let her answer?
So I'll just tell you real quick. The question was, should the lady spend, she does energy healing, should she spend time to heal her own eyesight? As a child, my mother often kind of made digs at me and a little bit like, your eyesight isn't getting healed because you don't have enough faith. And that just ticked me off. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so every time I'm putting on the glasses, I'm like, oh, I guess I don't have enough faith today,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to even hear this lady say, should I work on healing my own eyesight? Just kind of like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And so then when I saw my mom, I'm like, you, you know? And she then I'm like, okay, Terry, get calm here. This is not about you. This is not about you.
You know, the great thing about you telling this story is so many people think that when you're in the spiritual world, everything is love and light, and it bloody
Right.
isn't.
It's always
It's
no.
supposed to be because we're human. We're supposed to experience all those things. And that trigger is so that you'll work on whatever it is that triggered you.
Right.
Get past it.
So my mom said,
Did you get past that triggering with your
I got
mom?
past it. I got past it. I'm like, okay, mom, what's the answer? And she's like, the answer is, Terry, to tell her yes, to do it. To say, go ahead, do it. I'm like, so I'm telling the lady as I'm talking to my mom. My mom says that you should do it. And she said, because if you manage to heal your eyesight, that's a win. And she said, if she doesn't manage to heal her eyesight, she's going to learn a spiritual lesson. That's a win too. It's a win-win situation. I'm
Thanks,
like,
Mom.
okay, mom. Okay, I'm telling her that. So I told her that. And then my mom she was always a very kitschy person, a very cute, kitschy person. And I have to tell you a little bit more about what happened just before so you can figure out how she pissed me off at the end. But so before that this lady asked that, there was her spirit guide was on the stage. The spirit guide was nothing I had ever seen before or since. It was a great big see-through uh, jelly bean. She was she was orange with a pink flat top. Uh, and
Orange
but
jelly with a flat
you could
top.
see through her, and she was wiggly a little, and her name's Sophia, and she gave her a good message, and I'm like, I don't know what planet Sophia comes from or anything. I have not since seen a talking jelly bean on my stage before. She's massive too. She's really big. And as Sophia gets done with her message, she turns around, and then I can see she has these teeny tiny wings that would make a bumblebee jealous. She flies off on them. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure in my reading, I'm looking serene. But inside, I'm like, what the heck? You know, there's
Yeah,
a
I know the
jelly
feeling.
flying off. And I'm just like, I don't even know how those wings could support her. And I'm just like, okay, back, Terry. You know. And then she asks the question, and mom's on the stage, and then I'm already in this argument with her, and then I'm channeling my mom, telling what my mom's telling me to say. And my mom, so at the end of my mom's thing, she takes a look at me and she gives her little cute smile, and she kind of does a half turn so I can see her back. And she was often doing things like this. She kicks up her back leg and goes, and I can see that she has the wings too, flying off on the wings. And I'm like, what? Where did you get those? Did you steal those? Where did she's just kind of at me and keeps going. I'm like, oh my God, obviously she can't steal in heaven. She must have came by them lots. Just leave it alone, Terry. peace, peace, leave it alone.
That is brilliant.
It's like,
I channeled a different aspect of myself that was a dragon.
wow.
Feel the wings. I could feel the wings sprouting out of my back. No pain or anything like that, but I could feel them vibrating like this.
Wow. Wow.
Easiest thing ever. But I could literally feel it. And another time, my daughter had a cat that had passed, and the cat came, and I felt like a cat. I wanted to do this. I wanted to lick.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
all curled up in the chair like a little kitty does. I almost was purring. It was the strangest feeling, but I felt like I knew what a cat felt like. And of course it was angelic energy. It was full of love. But
Wow.
I could feel my tail, I could feel 4 legs, everything about the cat.
Yeah, I could feel wings when I had them.
Did you feel them too?
That is amazing. We have to have a whole show about wings, I think.
Yeah, everybody
Wings and
seems
what
to
was-
want wings now.
What was the other thing? Wings and what? Oh, the heart.
Yeah. Well, but that also goes to show you, you think all these things, you're so holy, and here I am yelling at my mother inside. I mean, I'm hoping I'm still looking like peaceful, but I'm like, hey, you better not be stealing those things.
Now you have wings too, and you stole them.
Where'd you get those?
Where did you get them? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're going to. It's almost an hour and a half, you guys. We've had so much fun here today.
It's more than
Oh my God.
I always have fun with you guys.
Almost 2 hours. No, that's
no,
wrong.
that's a second.
We can't
chance.
even read a clock at this point.
No, but it's been wonderfully fun.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yes,
And
thank
I hope
you.
everybody's enjoyed it in the chat room. And can we pull some cards for you guys? A card for the day.
Card for the day.
We can.
Let's pull cards for the day.
Yeah.
And Terry, would you please come back and make me laugh some more?
I will. I thought maybe next time we have to do my other idea, which was, like other things that have happened that are.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Did you want a deck?
I just have to say,
This one.
yeah, it's just so much fun reading somebody for an hour, because that's when these things happen, when you got a whole lot of luxury.
That's true.
You are
That's
not
true.
used to this deck.
Why don't you let me use that one? I feel like this one's your heart deck.
That's all right. I can move it in there.
Okay. How's everybody doing? Have you enjoyed the show? Because we think it's been fun.
Of course, we're here.
Of course, we're here. Look at all these people here. You have quite the group. Dave Maud's here. G. Covington.
Oh.
Starfish.
You know what? I want to interview Dave Maud.
Me too.
He has the most interesting past lives. I want to hear more about that.
All right. Well, Dave Maud, you've got somebody that wants you to come on their channel, and we'll have you on our channel. Anybody that wants to come on our channel, give me an email. Drop us a line, email or text or however.
And you're the guest, so you can start.
Yeah, you start, please, Terry.
Okay, here I'm pulling a card for the good of everybody. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I just pulled Divine Mother.
Beautiful.
After I've been
Slandering your mother for a half an hour.
nurturing compassion and grace, which she does help me with that. But Divine Mother for all of you, nurture your compassion and your grace.
That's beautiful.
And I pulled up, it's called The World, and everybody's expanding in it and continue to expand, because this is a good thing.
That's beautiful.
We have expansion and opening up, and that's exactly what we need to do, is open up, send out the love.
I love that. And I got the power card. Oh, it looks weird. It's really pretty. Blues and greens in there. It's not black.
Wow.
Power card. showing us that we all have the power to make the
Yeah.
changes we want to in our lives.
Who
Yeah.
said we can't talk to each other quietly? I just said that.
There we go. That's fantastic. Thanks everybody for showing up today. We sure appreciate it. We've had a blast. And we're
Thank you
sending
all.
love and light to everyone. And Miss Terri, love and light to you. I hope you have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful rest of your
You and you, Heather.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And you'll have to end the broadcast because that's your
Okey-doke.
job.
And thank you all for coming. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.
Everybody.